Hello, and welcome back to Movie Theater Explorer. This is Brent, your Movie Theater Explorer here. And today I'm going to be reviewing some of the recent movies that I've seen in theaters and watched in my home theater. And so, again, I appreciate you coming in, checking this out. Whether this is your first time checking out or if you've been here before, again, I just appreciate you coming in and coming to listen. And hopefully some of this information is a little informative for you. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first thing is so the movies I saw in theaters. The first one that I'm going to be talking about is the original Top Gun. Um, so I did, yeah. So first I saw Top Gun. I saw it in IMAX. It was playing back in theaters for its 40th anniversary. So, um, so I went to go see it, and this is not a movie I normally have really watched a whole lot. I've seen it a few times, but not very much. So I remember big parts of it, but not every little detail. Um, but it was actually a very enjoyable movie. I really appreciated the one thing that really stood out was the action sequences, the flying sequences were well shot, and experiencing them on the IMAX screen was really cool. Like the how it was how it was framed, obviously, um, just how the picture was framed is really cool, and the sound was actually very well designed as well. Just like hearing the planes just flying all over, and it just feels like it's you could kind of hear from one direction of the auditorium to the other when they're flying by, and it just sounded really cool. Um, there is a sense of coolness to the picture, and it was definitely very enjoyable. And again, it was great to have this again for something I don't. This is one of those movies I've not watched a whole lot, but just having that experience is totally worth it. And glad I got to experience it that way. Um, and just appreciate the movie again. Um, So yeah, it was for the 40th anniversary. I don't know if it's still playing, but if it is, I do recommend trying to see it in theaters if you haven't already. There is a sense of coolness to the picture. Um, so there's that. Followed by one. It was a back to back, and it was Top Gun Maverick. I saw it the same day. Again, saw it in IMAX theater, and this one I've seen quite a few times. I saw it in theaters 4 times when it came out, 3 times in IMAX, and 1 time in a regular theater. And the IMAX experience was incredible. Um, like the big thing I still really like is that beginning sequence is the when they're taking that plane and trying to break the speed limit of the Mach 10. They're trying to get to Mach 10, and just seeing that was like just like the colors of the sky and just the music and the engine like noticing its power but also knowing where it pulls back was just really cool. um Obviously the big difference with this and the first Top Gun, like the first Top Gun was made to see in movie theaters but wasn't made for an IMAX theater, but it was remastered that it could properly play in an IMAX theater. This one, Top Gun Maverick, was made to be played in an IMAX theater, and so obviously in various sequences, especially in a lot of the aerial flight sequences, they do expand the aspect ratio to fill the entire IMAX screen, and it just looks and feels really cool. Um, Especially like the first 10 minutes of the movie where they test out the Mach 10 and all that. Um, and just the framing of the picture is great. Um, and it's just awesome. And then the also the sound. I think I know I wrote a review on this on my Facebook page, and I think how I described it was first off, just having the engines, just feeling that power in the IMAX theater just feels extra powerful, and just noticing some of like the different plane and jet engines that have slight differences was kind of cool, and some of their power to it. And then also, I did notice there are certain sequences where they're flying, and you could kind of feel the jet when they're doing the turn from one point to another, and just having that feel like you can kind of hear that sound happening as well, just feeling immersed in that, and it's just really cool. Like it's one of those like it's been it the last time I saw it in theaters was 4 years ago, and it was still incredible to see it this way. So still a movie worth seeing in an IMAX theater. If you have an IMAX theater that's still playing it, of course, I definitely recommend trying to check it out that way. If it's still just playing a regular theater, I still think it's worth seeing in the regular theater at the very least. So, yeah, um, that was I was very thankful to be able to see both Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick in theaters again. So, um, okay, the next one was the Mandalorian Grogu. Um, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just talk about a bit about the movie first, and then I've seen it twice, but I've seen it in a different format each time. So, and I'll compare each one. Um, and yeah, so the movie, obviously, this is the first Star Wars movie that, or new Star Wars movie that we've gotten in years. The last one was in 2019, which was Star Wars: The Rise of Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Um, that was the last one we got, and now they've released a brand new one for theaters. And again, it's basically a continuation of the Disney Plus show. So again, like I'll put it this way, my I've watching the Disney Plus show, like the budget was already really high. It's got really good cinematic value to it. So it was definitely already very impressive. And I didn't really go in expecting to be wowed to a different degree. I kind of more went in like, you know what? I'm glad they're putting a new Star Wars movie in theaters, and I just want to have a fun time. And that's exactly what I got. I got a very fun time in theaters, and like again watching the characters' journeys, which wasn't like anything mind blowing or anything like that. It was pretty like I feel like the story was pretty simple, but it was more of just the experience with these characters, and for me, I think it delivered on that. Again, you're listening to someone that when heard about it, I'm like, okay. I mean, like, I'm just glad we're getting a new Star Wars movie in theaters, and in that my expectations weren't too high on it, and yeah, I didn't really like. Overall, it was just like, hey, the technical efforts were impressive, and story wise, it was good enough. It was good enough for me. We'll put it that way. Um, but yeah, it was just a fun time. I think things I really did like. I did like the involvement of Grogu a little bit more, and there is a part. I mean, again, I don't like to spoil things. I don't think it's anything like if I just told you the whole thing. I don't think it's like I wouldn't be spoiling anything massive or anything like that. There's nothing massive to spoil. So but I'm still trying to like I still want you to go in and just enjoy for what you're hoping to enjoy out of it. Um, again, just yeah, don't expect anything like obviously, definitely not The Empire Strikes Back or anything like that. This isn't like an event Star Wars movie, but this is like a just a fun adventure Star Wars movie that I think they did a good job on delivering the adventure parts and all that. Like the creatures that we got to see were all cool. seeing the worlds that we got to go to were actually really cool and rather immersive in a theater. So I was very impressed. Yeah, obviously these locations, the designs are all really cool. Um, and yeah, the one thing I was actually very impressed, honestly, was the sound design and how it was executed in the theater. I would say out of anything, that was the thing that I was the most impressed with for sure. I'll get to a little more on when I compare formats, but yeah, the sound designs were good. Um, and yeah, characters were fun. Um, and I did like Grogu's involvement. There's without going into really any detail, but there is a moment where we take more of a focus on Grogu, and it was kind of neat trying to for him to like figure some of the stuff out. So again, don't expect anything like mind blowing. I'm trying to keep it like a fun movie. I do recommend if you're a Star Wars fan, just yeah, and you're just you just want a fun adventure with the Mandalorian Grogu. That's exactly what you're going to get here, and I got exactly what I wanted, just a fun time, a fun Star Wars movie. So and it delivered what I wanted. Okay, now I'm going to compare the two formats that I talked about. The first thing I did was I opening night I did see it in IMAX, and so this is another one of those that it changes IMAX aspect ratios throughout the movie. So it is mainly shot a lot in 2.35, so in widescreen, and then it fills the IMAX screen in certain action sequences, like the yeah, there's some sequences at the beginning of the movie um, that basically involves like a snow planet. I don't know if it was Hoth, so I'm not going to say Hoth, but if it is, it is. But I don't know if it really is. But anyway, it is on a snow planet. There you go. It's probably the most of a spoiler I'll give. But there are certain parts where the aspect ratio expands and it it, it feels really cool and immersive. I did allude to it earlier. Especially when we got into a fight sequence in a yeah. What impressed me was the sound design and just how immersive and powerful the sound got. So in an IMAX theater, it was powerful, it was immersive, and it was really cool. So I was very I was really impressed with the sound, and the picture was good as well. But and having the expanded aspect ratio to fill the screen for certain sequences was really cool, and just feeling immersed into the experience. So um, IMAX was an awesome experience, and that would be my top recommendation. If you're seeing Mandalorian Grogu, you know what you want and everything. Um, this is an awesome way to experience the movie. The next way I got to experience it was in ScreenX. For those that don't know what ScreenX is, it is a basically you've got the screen in front of you, but then there's like two sides that have projections that come on various parts throughout the movie that open up to be 270 degrees. So what makes it cool? I was sitting on like probably within the middle of the theater, basically more in like the front, more the closer to the front of the middle, but or yeah, in front of the middle line, basically, if you want to put it that way. And so I was getting enough of the experience that I really wanted. You got the big screen in front of you, but then you got the sides that open up. And again, keep in mind, it's not like you're missing big details if you don't see it in ScreenX. It's just it's more of a way to expand your man, what's the your view sides and all that. And so just you're kind of seeing like a ship flying. If it's flying off the left side of the screen, it just kind of extends a little bit. Just it kind of feels a little more real that way, or a little more immersive that way. And so just having that experience, it just like when that opens up, it feels like the world's opening up in front of me. The world of the film is opening up in front of me, and just seeing all this is really cool. And it was very impressive. Um, so I thought this was a really good alternative. This was seen at a local Cinemark that recently got ScreenX added. So, and it was really cool. I've seen screen movies in ScreenX before, at least a few of them. So I've had similar experiences, but yeah, this is just again just a really cool alternative. And yeah, so if you're like, hey, I want to try something different than IMAX, I think this is a good alternative. Um, it's kind of cool. So yeah, those are just comparing my two different experiences. I will have another experience of Mandalorian Grogu in the future, later in the week, and so I'll definitely update that. I might do another video where I just compare all three of them and all that. So anyway, so yeah, those are the movies I saw in theaters. Next, I'm gonna focus in on the movies I saw in my home theater. Uh, all of these were saw in the dedicated home theaters. So, and I believe the majority, I think all of them, I have, oh, except for one, I have written on my Facebook page, and one of them I've recorded as a separate review for this YouTube channel. And I will get to that, explain that, but or tell you what those are. Anyway, first one, King Richard and the Crusaders. This was a movie that was recently released on Blu-ray from the Warner Archive collection, and I decided to pick it up and just take a look into it. And so, excuse me. Um, so basically, so this is a movie that was released in theaters back in 1954. It was shot. It was one of the first number of movies. I don't know how many movies there were beforehand that were shot this way, but it was shot and presented in CinemaScope. So, so it was definitely. So I seen this in my dedicated home theater, having that presentation of the wide screen of the big picture in CinemaScope was really cool. Um, so the movie itself, basically, King Richard gets poisoned. And I think it involves a lot of like the Crusades that happened in the Middle Ages. I don't have a full like. I remember learning about this in junior high, so and there was a lot of that kind of made me remember a lot of it. Overall, what did I think of the movie though? Is like it was fine, but it wasn't anything like I think the story had some of its issues, and but I feel like the performances are definitely over the top in some areas, but I feel like a lot of it, like these are like good actors that I've seen a couple of them in other movies, and they're really great. And I think this is like a different type of movie where I think they went ahead and just like, hey, we're taking a different direction and all that. So it is like a little bit over the top. It is. I do think some of the production value is kind of cool. Seeing like some of the the production and costume design was very impressive, and just how these were presented um, looked really good. And I mean, again, it was like an older sound format, but it sounded good. Um, obviously, I think they did a good job on presenting some of the stuff. Some of the cool things was there were a couple cool fight sequences. One in the middle in the desert was kind of cool. How it was shot, how it was edited, and one fight near the end. Um, basically, it was a quick one on a bridge, but it's kind of cool. And before that, a chase. Overall, this is an enjoyable movie. I think I more recommend it for those that have watched it and do have really liked it, or if you're just kind of curious, I'd say wait for a sale on it. But the presentation is like, hey, the home theater presentation, I was happy with it. The picture looked really good, details looked good, and all that. And then it sounded good. Like again, it wasn't like it was in stereoscopic. I think is DTS HD 2.0, but it was presented um, like basically stereoscopic, or I think I'm mispronouncing that, and I apologize. But it was just cool to see, like, feeling that sense of like, hey, from one side to the other. It was kind of cool in the soundscape that I was listening in. It was kind of cool. So again, my recommendation, if it's one of those like, hey, you're a fan of this movie, you want to pick it up, yeah, I think this is. I think they did a really good job at remastering this. Um, I can't compare it to older ones because it's the first time I ever watched it. But if you're just one of those that was kind of curious like me, I would say either give it a rent um, or wait for a sale. Um, anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Next one is George Stevens, A Filmmaker's Journey. I watched it on 4K Ultra HD. This is from the Warner Archive Collection. Um, I picked this up mainly because, like, when I heard their announcements, and this had got a 4K release, it kind of got me curious, and I'm like, hmm, I'm wondering why. And then I kept hearing a lot of great things about the director George Stevens, which I have not really watched a lot of his movies, so I decided to give it pick it up and check it out just out of curiosity. And yeah, so obviously there is that, it's that sense of like, hey, you a typical, like, it was released in 1984, I believe, and so it was a it does have that sense of like, hey, going through um a filmmaker and how it, kind of the life story for the most part, more focusing on his films and other aspects. And I think that's what probably what impressed me more. I mean, talking about some of his sensibilities and all that, and what he was trying to achieve and all that. And what really impressed me though was just like going into like how certain events had an impact on him. Obviously, he focused on certain types of movies in one point, and then um, I don't think this is anything spoilery, but then he was involved. He was asked to be enlisted in the World War II, and so he would document, film a lot of this stuff, and they showed a lot of those sequences, and like again, I wasn't expecting that, and then just talked about how he wanted to tackle different type of pictures when he got back, and just seeing that kind of progression, all that, and a lot of these like the restoration efforts are really impressive. Um, it's like the interviews looked really good, picture wise. I mean, some better than others, and then some of the footage they presented, some looked like it was shot with a lower quality camera, so maybe the detail wasn't as sharp, but it was well presented and everything. And I was very impressed with the restoration efforts on this. They did a great job, and it sounded good in the home theater, in the dedicated home theater that I watched it in, and yeah. Again, it's not something. This is like DTS HD 2.0, so it's not something that's designed to rock your theater or anything like that. Oh yeah, but yeah, so the sound was good. It was well represented. But yeah, going back to the picture quickly though, the some of the clips looked like they were restored incredibly well. Like some of them looked great, and yeah, really great. So I was very impressed. It was a really good home theater experience. So I highly recommend it if you are a fan of this and want to pick it up. Um, it was definitely well presented. Okay, my next one, Deja Vu. This was a movie that was released 20 years ago. Um, I think it came out on Blu-ray in the early days of the Blu-ray format, and that's the copy that I got. It was just a reprint, and and yeah, so it was on a sale at Barnes and Nobles. Mill Creek was doing a lot of had done a lot of reprints on a lot of these movies under Disney through Fox, Touchstone, and all that. And I picked up a few of them since they were at a really cheap price. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to pick up a few of these. And so I picked up Deja Vu. I had not seen, I've only watched it once on DVD, and I decided to rewatch it. And it was actually kind of a cool movie to watch. I'm trying to think if I want to how much I want to spoil here. I did write a review. I tried to step away from um a lot of the some of the spoiler aspects. It does involve like basically a boat blows up, a bomb was involved, and they're trying to find out what happened. And so Denzel Washington plays a detective, where he starts to investigate who was involved and or try to catch the killer and all that. Um, and other things start to happen. Um, I'll give you like the most basic spoiler. It does involve a sense of time travel, um, and I'll stop it right there for those that haven't seen it. But just how it presents itself, I thought was kind of cool. Um, and there's some cool sequences that are shot and put together and crafted for the theater. And again, I watched this in my dedicated home theater, and again, the picture quality was good. It is an older remaster, or well, really, it was just presented how it was, and it looked good. It was just good, older presentation. And the sound actually sounded quite good as well. Um, it was an uncompressed 5.1, and it sounded good. Actually, sounded really good. So yeah, and there's certain sequences that were kind of cool. Like one cool sequence, and I think I talked about in my review where Denzel Washington uses his headset to try to catch a um, the supposed killer um, while driving with his headset, and obviously working against traffic in the daytime. And this takes place during the night, or the this killer's supposed killer is driving in the evening time. So he's trying to figure all that out. And it's just like how it's shot and all that was kind of cool, and presented and edited, and the sound mixed and everything. So yeah, um, so yeah, I was impressed. I was happy with the home theater presentation. It was a good home theater experience. Nothing mind blowing, but good. And yeah, honestly, if you can get it for a really good price, I do recommend picking up the Blu-ray if you are a fan of this and want to check it out. Okay, the next one, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In a few weeks, Steven Spielberg's got a new movie coming out. I don't know if it's good. I just said a good movie, but I don't know if it's good yet. So I haven't seen it. But I'm very excited to see it. I'll get into that a little bit later though, because I think that kind of merges into my question of the day. But basically, I watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I want to try to go through all of Steven Spielberg's science fiction movies before Disclosure Day comes out. I don't know if I'll get through all of them, but we'll see. I've gotten through quite a few now. I mean, I've gotten through War of the Worlds, Ready Player One, Jurassic Park, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, and now Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So I've still got I think 3 more to go, if my math is correct at the top of my head. So, but anyway, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. This is his next movie that he made after Jaws, and so obviously, I mean, Jaws is definitely a great movie, and I really like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It is weird to think, actually. It's a year away from hitting its 50th anniversary. And just how it unfolds the mystery and everything, you're given enough to know that aliens are there, are among the people, are coming to visit, and you're obviously how it unfolds is just really cool. Um, I feel like a lot of it, I probably don't want to say too much, but the third act is incredible. Um, and actually, I have seen this movie twice in theaters. I didn't know it at the time until when I watched it in my dedicated home theater. But I had been watching the I think this special edition that got released in 1998, I believe, is what I've heard. Um, this movie was released originally in 1977, so I ended up watching the theatrical version, and I was just like, I'm not sure which version I've seen out of all of these, but I'm like, I'm just gonna pick this one. So I picked the theatrical version, and so there were certain sequences that were not there that I'm like, or moments that I'm like, oh, so I have been watching the special edition. So, um, but what's in having the presentation in the home theater? Um, I mean, first, okay, let's go to the story first. Obviously, aliens. Richard Dreyfuss is mainly the main focus. There's um, another woman with a like basically like a 3-year-old son, and you get involved as well, and you also get some scientists that explore these phenomenons, and these all kind of intertwine basically. Um, and so, I mean, if you know, you probably know what I'm talking about if you've seen it before. But if you haven't, hopefully I'm not spoiling too much. But I definitely recommend checking this one out. If you're a Steven Spielberg fan, this is a must see. It is a great movie. Um, the home theater presentation on the 4K Ultra HD, I was very impressed with it. The picture quality, details were good, colors look good. Um, it does retain that kind of filmic presentation. There is grain. It's probably a little bit heavier on the grain side, but hey, it helped give that filmic presentation for me. Some of the cool sequences seen on a projection screen, like some of the night sky sequences, just seeing them unfold on the projected screen was really cool. So, um, and obviously, seeing some of the spaceships, seeing some of that model work, um, was really impressive. Um, it was just incredibly well shot, well presented, and the sound was actually really impressive as well. It is DTS HD 5.1, um, but what was kind of cool was just like whenever there's the alien ship presences, you can feel it through the low ends and all that, and it was really cool. So, um, I think it was well mixed. So yeah, I highly recommend picking up this movie on 4K Ultra HD if you are a fan of this movie, and I think you should be able to find it at a reasonable price. I picked up my copy when I found it on sale. I was because I had seen it a couple times in theaters, and I'm like, hey, I want to go back and rewatch this from time to time. So yeah, great home theater experience for me. Um, Speed Racer. Um, I'm not going to go too heavy onto this because I did a, another review on this, so I'll keep it brief. I did see it in theaters back in 2008. I watched it a couple more times after that. It's a really fun, wacky movie. I have a a really a real fun time rewatching it. It is like it is basically a live action cartoon. Um, Brought to life. Like if you've seen the anime, I think it kind of. I've only watched it a few times, so I don't have a lot of best comparisons, but I've seen parts of it, and I think like obviously it follows those characters, and they do they do a great job on trying to keep that cartoony feel and all that, and obviously a lot of it. I think a lot of the digital technology was still basically new when they were trying to craft this movie. So they did a great job with it. The Wachowskis did as the directors, um, and yeah, the performances definitely match the tone of what they were going for. Um, Watched this in my dedicated home theater. I was real like it was a very impressive home theater presentation. Like the picture quality like looked really good. It was an upscale 2K remaster, but obviously it was in 4K. They presented it in 4K, but it was the original source is 2K. They upscaled it for 4K, and I think they did a really good job with it. Colors looked amazing. Like just seeing all those colors on the projected screen were definitely very impressive, um, and yeah, it was just a bright, like vibrant, colorful presentation. And the sound in Dolby Atmos was really impressive. Just hearing the cars going all over the soundscape and everything. It was very impressive. So this was a great home theater presentation. So I highly recommend picking up this movie on 4K Ultra HD, especially if you're a fan. Um, and if you're just curious, like, yeah, if you want to just check it out first, I understand. Obviously, this movie, I don't know if it's going to be necessarily for everyone, but hey, I had a fun time watching it, and I still do. So, and again, if you want to rent it and check it out first that way, yeah. Um, this next one, this last one here, The Walk. Um, this is I saw this movie when it came out in theaters back in 2015. I saw it in IMAX 3D. Um, I remember the experience being pretty cool. Like obviously, it starts off with building up to, um, oh man, what's the guy's name? I know I'm getting the name wrong, and I got the name written on the on the review when I wrote it. But anyway, so about this man who's basically who has a dream of trying to walk across the tight wire across the two World Trade Centers as they were being built. So and so basically it follows. See if I can give you the guy's name. Um, the Philippe Petit, who's this is based on a true story, by the way. So, and this took place where he basically wanted to get on top of the roofs and of the World Trade Centers and walk a tight wire or a, like a wire across back and forth. So, and that's what he did. And he basically, um, so the third act that when that happens is really impressive. Building up to it is they do a good job of trying to set everything up, but obviously the big payoff is the third act when he walks it. And um, seeing an IMAX 3D definitely was just like nerve wracking because you're watching someone who's on there without really any support. And yeah, you I think you can picture the rest of what could happen. Um, So, but yeah, seeing that, having that feel in IMAX 3D was definitely very impressive, um, and definitely felt nerve wracking just while he's on that rope, like realizing anything could go wrong. So, um, rewatching it in my dedicated home theater, I picked it up on 4K Ultra HD. So this wasn't in 3D, but the 4K detail and all that was very impressive, and I feel like just how there's a sense of just having that projected screen experience still helped give enough of that anxiety during this third act. And so, yeah, it was the picture presentation's really good. It is kind of interesting watching like certain sequences where you're seeing like obviously it's meant for the 3D experience, and yeah, they so you can see that without having the full 3D, but still it still felt kind of cool. And but yeah, the presentation was still really good. And the sound was good too. It was DTS HD 5.1, and obviously it wasn't anything overwhelming. It was like the music was very gentle, and then obviously the sound effects immersing you enough, and and all that. But obviously, like noticing like the sound effects, one being on top of the roof where you can feel the sound of the wind picking up at various points. But yeah, the big one where you notice it was when there's a helicopter at one point, and you've seen the movie, you know what I'm probably talking about. But and the music again, I think I talked about the music already, being pretty gentle in certain parts, but nothing too crazy or overwhelming. So, but yeah, it was just a really cool experience. Um, so this is another great home theater experience, and if you're a fan of this movie, I do recommend picking it up on 4K Ultra HD. Obviously, I don't know how. I know there's a 3D version out there. I never picked up the 3D version. I don't know how easy it is to find or what the price range is for it. So I mean, if you find it for a good price, I do think it's gonna. I think it would be great to pick up on 3D. So yeah. Okay, so that's it for my reviews, and then the last thing is my question of the day. Um, Obviously, coming near to the end of June, we basically have a of new movies coming out in June. So I think I kind of spoiled it, but what's the movie that I'm most excited to see in June? And the one that I'm the most excited to see is Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg's brand new movie involving aliens and all that. I have no clue what to expect. I only know what we've gotten by the trailers. So, but I'm very excited to see this movie. I have no clue if it'll deliver. I have no clue how it'll be. Um, yeah, so, but I'm very excited to see this one. Um, I think my two runner ups are going to be the next one, I would think, is Masters of the Universe. It, I never really grew up watching He-Man or anything like that, but I am very curious on this. And then also, um, the other one is Supergirl. But yeah, but I'm very excited for Disclosure Day and can't wait to see it. Um, I think it's 2.5 weeks away from coming out, actually. So anyway, that's it for my podcast episode today and of Movie Theater Explorer. And then again, thank you very much again for tuning in. Whether you tune in for a couple of reviews, only one review, all the reviews, or half of it, or maybe 2 minutes of one review, or whatever the case may be. I just appreciate you coming in, giving this a listen, and all that. Yeah, just appreciate it and thank you again. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Again, once again, this is Brent with Movie Theater Explorer signing off.